Hi there and welcome to another suggested session for you to do. A bit of a challenge, a fitness challenge, but also a challenge in the way you move. So when you're doing exercises, there's planes of motion that you can go through, and most exercises tend to be sagittal. That's going from front to back. If you think of a squat, for instance, that's in the sagittal plane. And one of the reasons maybe that we do so many like that is because things like walking, running, cycling are all in that particular plane of motion. So we need to also look at other things to include in the session, and one of those would be working in a frontal plane. Now that is moving to the side, so we're going to make sure that some of the exercises get you moving on the frontal plane, that's moving from side to side. And then we're also going to look at transverse and rotational, which is where you're basically going back and dropping down. And the idea is that the interactive workout that you can click the link for has 4 or 5 exercises that are definitely something you can do to get through all the planes of motion, and then there's some suggested additions, different ways of squatting, for instance, which is always good. So the first thing you're going to do is 4 sets of 12 reps of a dumbbell squat. So that's a sagittal plane. Basically you take your dumbbells, you just hang them by the side, and that's perfect because your center of gravity will move them down to exactly where you want them to be. So they'll end up just going down towards the ground. Make sure that you keep your back nice and straight. So that's a sagittal plane. Next thing you're going to do with the same dumbbells is you're going to do a side lunge. So you're going to just go to the side and drop the weights down to the side. Obviously there's videos going on showing you how to do that. And that will be, we've got 3 sets, 12 reps, and obviously you want to do that per leg. So that's going to move you through that plane. Now there's different ways to approach the next thing. Thinking about the lockdown, obviously my hair's crazy, doing my own hair cutting at the moment. So if you haven't got any equipment, you can do these moves with water bottles, by the way, so the squat and the lunge. And also if we're looking at rotational and twisting, you can just do a twisting jump squat if you like, or you could look at doing a drop lunge, which is where you go back and you, instead of going to the side, you're going back about 45 degrees and then you drop the weights that way, and that ticks all the boxes. Now we're looking at squats, so it's mainly lower body as well we're doing, but you are getting a whole body workout when you're doing squats. It's a compound movement. If you're struggling with squats, you can get some glute work by doing hip raises. So the videos there just showing you the hip raises. If you want to improve on that and progress it, then just put your feet on a bench, dig your heels in, point your toes forward and do the hip raises that way. And so the suggested additional exercises, things like squat jacks, which is where you're just going out to the side. Nice simple thing you can do, or you can take both your legs, depending on how good your knees are. And then you've got squats with a leg lift, so you're going down, and as you come up you bring your leg out. And you've also got squat jumps. There was a little while ago I did one of my videos about jumping, including jumping. And I think jumping is a great thing to do. Get your ankles and your feet engaged, come off the floor, so it's an open chain exercise rather than closed chain. You can look at doing squats where you've gone wide and then you've gone narrow, so you're moving your legs out to the side again, different plane. And the last thing that I've included is a squat where you've got the dumbbell held in one hand. So if you're doing any sort of exercise and you want to add a little bit of core work, if you do a unilateral exercise, so if you squat with your arm up there, not only is that quite a difficult squat and quite hard in its own right, it's also making your core work. So if you've got this extra weight in one hand, your core is stopping you from bending to one side. So do have a look at the interactive workout. It works on most devices, so we'll put that in the forum or in the comments down below, and you can look at that on your device. And that's basically this week's challenge, to work through all the ranges of motion, and hopefully when you're looking at your own workout, or you're in the gym and maybe you haven't, just winging it when the gyms are back open, you can think about doing different ranges of motion and different planes of motion. So doing the sagittal, doing the frontal plane, and also doing the transverse and rotational. And you should be feeling a lot more athletic if you do include those different types of movements. Hope you enjoyed that. Please leave comments or some likes, share if you want, it's great, and hopefully we will see you again for another session next week.